So we'll be just going on. Okay, dear parents and kids, I hope you all are staying safe and healthy, and I'm hoping all the kids and parents of minimum 8th to 10th graders are joining. So good afternoon. We at VTSeva, which you already know, VTSeva stands for Volunteering Together for Service. It's a non-profit organization with a focus on helping underprivileged and visually challenged kids and giving them a free education. And this is a school run out of India, and we have many other focus areas where we are taking care of people who are being affected in the natural calamity, just like the COVID victims or the earthquake victims. And we are also running a health care screening process, especially in the rural areas where many of the women may have experiencing breast cancer or other forms of the cancer, but they don't know they have the cancer. So there are a lot of other health care screening programs we are doing for all these underprivileged families. So there are many aspects we are doing back in India, but we have chapters all around the US with more than 40 plus centers. And then within our Cary area, we have a VTSeva chapter called VTSeva Cary, and we have a youth directors. All the wonderful young kids from all ages are joining and taking part. So as part of this, as a director and advisor of VTSeva, I am personally trying my best to give you all the available options to explore in our RTP area and in our North Carolina area, especially which are the good schools and the colleges and the universities, so that you all can make your dream come true. So as part of the college guidance counseling, I have been providing information about various schools and universities, and one of the best school, which I always love through and through, is School of Science and Math. And I just love not because I just know more about it, but I have experienced myself as a proud parent of alumni. So I know how important the school is. I know the warmness of the school and the professors of the school, which go extra mile above and beyond to give all the available options to the kid. Only the thing the kid should have is a zeal to achieve or do something very unique or different for the betterment of the world. So I've been conducting these information sessions on understanding more about the School of Science and Math and the admission process. And we have a undocumented partnership with NCSSM. So graciously, the admission counselors are always visiting every year, and we used to have a lot of the in-person sessions so they can directly listen from NCSSM school and understand more about the school and also the admission process, why you should go it, and if you want to go, what are the various ways. So we always have Robert, who used to come here, and then this year we have a good gentleman, Nicholas Lechman, who is the admission counselor from NCSSM. So he's here. So you're directly hearing not only from my experiences, but directly from the school. And the good news for this year is, I think Nick will be covering more on that, but typically they have a capacity of 360 kids, but now they have doubled the capacity because there is a new campus, Morgenstein. So without further ado, I would love to request Nicholas to give us the journey of NCSSM, the wow factors, and the admission process. And also, he will be going through any of the Q&A you have. So Nick, please tell whether you want everybody to be as interactive as possible, or they have to hold the questions till the end, whatever is your format, which you like it. So please go ahead and tell so that all the listeners, viewers can interact with you. So over to you, and then you have the privileges to share the screen and everything.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Swami. I'm happy to take questions as we're going. So, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat, um, or you can, if you want to ask them out loud and turn on your microphone. that works too. Let me pull up my screen here.
Sure, absolutely. So again, all the parents and kids, so this is an opportunity to learn more about NCSSM. So feel free to share your questions on the chat, or you can just unmute and talk. Uh, but let's listen from Nick.
Okay. Um, yeah, thanks. Again, my name is Nick Lehman. I'm an admissions counselor at the School of Science and Math. So it's my job to make sure people all over North Carolina are aware of our programs and know how to apply. So we have some wonderful opportunities here, but not everybody is aware of them. So I just want to. That's why I appreciate y'all giving me the time to tell you a little bit about what we can offer, and hopefully some of these things sound exciting to you and you're interested in applying. If you do have other questions that you think of later, whether that's tomorrow or next week or next year, whenever that is, there's my email. You can feel free to reach out by email at any time if you do have more questions. So what we're going to do this afternoon is just do a brief overview of the different programs that we offer. These are all the main programs that NCSSM has. I'm going to be focusing on the first three, which are our residential program, now in 2 locations, the online program, and then summer ventures in science and math. And then I'll talk about the application process as well, because it's the same application process for these 3 programs. We do have some other summer programs, one called Summer Accelerator. Those are available for students as young as 5th grade, all the way through seniors in high school. And we also have something called our open enrollment courses, which are classes that we broadcast to schools around the state. But the main programs that we offer are these first 3. So we'll start off talking about our residential program. But first, I don't know if anybody knows who this person is here. That's Christina Hammock Cook. She's an astronaut. This photo is from when she was up in the International Space Station a couple years ago. She's a graduate of NCSSM, and she spent almost a year on the International Space Station from between 2018 and 2019, I believe. And she got her, basically her career started at the School of Science and Math. She came from Eastern North Carolina, then attended NCSSM for her junior and senior year. And she talked about how many doors were opened for her by attending the School of Science and Math, and how that really got her career started, going on to NC State, studying in electrical engineering, then eventually becoming an astronaut. So she's just one of the examples of, one of the many alumni we're proud of that are doing really great things. So let's talk about our residential program. This is a 2-year school, so it's just 11th and 12th grade, high school juniors and seniors. Students apply while they're in 10th grade, and then if you're in the residential program, you would actually leave your current school and be a full-time student at NCSSM. And because it's residential, that means you don't just go to school there, you also live there. So we have residence halls on our campus where our students live. And this is all free of charge. There's no cost to attend NCSSM. We're a public school. This is supported by the state, primarily by the state, but also some of the fundraising and private donations that we have. But we do that so we can keep these great opportunities free of charge for everybody, regardless of their financial means. So that also means, not just free tuition, but also there's no cost for your housing, no cost for your meals or books or anything like that while you're staying on campus. And we are called the School of Science and Math. So that's, of course, where the focus is, those STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering, and math. But that's not all that we have. We still have the full range of academic subjects. So we have a great humanities department that includes our English and history, world languages, fine arts, that sort of thing. And then there's tons of things to do outside of your classes as well. We've got a great athletics program, 21 varsity sports, all sorts of different clubs that students are involved with, everything from some of your more serious academic competitions like robotics or science Olympiad, rocketry, things like that, to clubs that are just for fun. Like last year, we had a watermelon eating club, for example. So it's all sorts of different things for students to get involved with. And We have been located in Durham for about the last 40 years, but starting next year, we're going to have a second location out in Morganton in the western part of the state. Um, so if y'all are in the Triangle area, of course, our Durham campus is much closer to home, but Morganton is also an option for you. You don't have to go to Durham just because it's closer. We're going to have students from all over the state on both campuses, and you can see what they look like here.
So, uh,
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
so Nick, quick question. So I know Morganton. So it is not yet started. So it is going to be starting for this academic year 2022.
Yes, yeah, it will be open next August in the fall of 2022. So students who are currently in 10th grade, they could be applying to Morganton.
Okay, and then they have option to choose, or it will the discretion of the student, or is it you will be allotting which area they have to go to?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's up to the student. So you can apply to just one campus or you can apply to both of them. Um, it's really three options between Morganton, Durham, and online. And you have to
Okay.
rank your preference. So you would have to have a first choice, second choice, third choice. We'll do our best to match everybody with their first choice, but depending on availability, it might end up being your second choice. But it's all the same. I'll talk about this more when I talk about the application process, but it's all one
Yeah.
application. You don't have to write an extra essay or something for Morganton compared to Durham. You're really just checking boxes to which programs you're interested in.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. Um, But yeah, here on top, this is the Morganton campus. This is an artist rendering that our architects did who are designing the campus. Um, it's almost looking like this in real life now. That the construction is getting pretty close to being complete. It's a combination of some older buildings that are being renovated as well as some new construction. This area used to be part of the North Carolina School for the Deaf in Morganton, and they're a lot smaller than they used to be, and they have a lot of buildings that they're not using. So we're taking over some of those and renovating them, and then building some new ones. I was out there recently. This is our residence hall right here. So there'll be 300 students on this campus. They'll all live in this building. Um, you can see there's like views of the mountains from almost every window. It's a really beautiful setting. So if you don't mind the extra drive going out to Morganton, if you like being closer to the mountains or if you like being in a smaller town compared to Durham, that'll be a great option. But here's our campus in Durham. It's a different setting. It's a little more urban. It's in the city. There's a lot within walking distance, so that's a nice thing because our students aren't allowed to have cars on their campus. But there's all sorts of shops and restaurants, grocery store, pharmacy, things like that that are right there within a short walk of our Durham campus. These are just some examples of the classes that we offer. This is not everything. This is just to kind of give you an idea of the variety of classes that we have, and how we have a lot of classes on really interesting topics that you don't find at most high schools. And in addition to the course offerings, there's some really cool things that you can do as a student here. One of them is January term. That's coming up pretty soon, where during the month of January, we're between our fall and spring semester. So instead of having regular classes, it's an opportunity to do something a little bit different. So some students will go on trips. We have a lot of our teachers will lead trips. We've stopped doing the international trips for now because of the pandemic, but hopefully we'll be able to do that again maybe next year. Um, but this year we've got a group going to New York City, Washington D.C. There's some going out to the Grand Canyon. And then in the past, when we've had international travel, we've had groups go to Japan, Costa Rica, Spain, Italy, all over the world. And another option is to stay on campus and do your own independent project. A lot of students will do that. You can come up with a project idea to do on your own or with a group of friends, any topic that you're interested in studying. And then some of our teachers will also teach these kind of short-term courses that are more for fun. Like we've had things like the chemistry of baking bread. or one of our math teachers is a licensed pilot and he does an aviation program where students learn more about flight and things like that. So basically the January term is an opportunity to keep learning, but in a setting outside of the regular classroom, and it's something that's just a little more interactive. And then another great thing we offer is the research opportunities. So this is something that, if you're interested in a career, particularly in any of the sciences or in medicine, and you want to get some real life research experience, it's not just doing a lab setting in your biology class or something where you do something for an hour and a half and write a report on it. I'm talking like long-term research, the type of thing that real scientists do. And this is something that you could get involved with. This is a very rare opportunity for high school students to get this real research experience. And some students will do that on our campus under the guidance of one of our teachers. But we also have some partnerships like with the local universities. And so we have what we call our research and mentorship program, where some of our seniors will spend 2 afternoons a week over at UNC Chapel Hill or North Carolina Central or Duke, working with a professor there. So you might be doing research in a lab, but you're also being mentored by a college professor, which is a really cool experience to have while you're still a high school student. So that's a brief overview of the residential program. Are there any questions so far about any of this?
Yeah, so I know there are many kids and parents are here. So this is all about the opportunities, what are there in the campus and the residential, before we get into the admission process. So feel free to ask anything. That will be good. Nick, I know you have a lot of clubs, right? So how many number of clubs are there? Do you have any number? I know it is like huge.
It's close to 100. It varies a little bit year to year. I think we're right around 100 right now, but it's all sorts of different things.
Okay. Yes, you can go ahead and ask question.
Yes, my question is, hello. Yes,
Yeah.
my question is, if the child has not made up a mind where he or she is going to any particular field, still they have a choice if they get enrolled in your organization in the school.
Are you talking about deciding between Durham and Morganton?
No. A child has not decided yet for medical or engineering. Still, he is confused.
No, I think Swati, that does not have any impact, because the school will offer all the opportunities, because it is not a particular stream, right? So you are just doing just like outside the 11th and 12th. So you don't need to decide your major to get into NCSSM. So you can either decide major or not. You have all options, but compared to your regular school, you will have more options to do, more research opportunities. So that is where the school is. So it doesn't need to know whether you are going in a medical field or engineering field or arts. It is just trying to give you the best opportunities. You decide which subjects you want to do.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And it's a great.
I think yeah, go ahead, Nick.
It's a great opportunity to figure out what you're interested in and what career you want to go to, because we have our various requirements as far as taking a certain number of classes in different subject areas. So regardless of what you plan to go into now, you'll have to take a biology class. You'll also have to take an engineering or a computer science class. So it's an opportunity to get exposure to different areas. And so we've had some students come through here thinking they wanted to do one thing as a career, but then they take this class in I don't know, electrical engineering, and they're like, wow, this is amazing. I want to pursue this as a career.
Perfect. And also, just on the, I know a lot of people are raising hands, but I need to know their names. If I say somebody Pixel 4A, I don't know who that is. So please put yourself the proper name so that we can count. And Nick, there is a question on the chat.
Yeah, I see
Can
that.
you answer?
So our programs are just for 11th and 12th graders. So we don't offer like the opportunities I'm talking about, the research and everything else. Those are just for 11th and 12th graders.
Yeah, basically you need to enroll in the school, and the enrollment is only for 11th and 12th. Once you join the school, you can do. However, there are some summer opportunities. There are something we does like a summer programs that is a different, but not necessarily the research. Okay. Any other questions before we get into the admission process?
I have one question. I'm Pixel 4A. Sorry, I joined late. My name is Sonali, so I didn't get the time to put my email.
Can you rename your name on the screen, and that will be useful?
Yes,
Thank you,
I'll do
Sonali.
that
Yeah,
right now. Is it okay if I ask my questions?
Sure. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask that, like if you choose the option of Durham online and then Morgan County, and then later on you decide that no, you wanted online. So is it possible to like do that choice, change that choice option later if you got selected in both of them?
Once you're selected into a program, that's what you're gonna stick with for 2 years. We don't have switching back and forth between the programs. We had like there have been rare cases where, due to a medical issue or something like that, there's been a student in our residential program that's had to go back home. And if there's space, we've tried to get them into the online program. But generally speaking, once you start a program, that's the one you stick with.
Okay, like suppose when I'm filling the application, I choose online first and the residential second, like Durham, and then Morgan County. But later on, I changed my mind and I wanted the Durham, the residential program to be chosen. So I cannot change at that time, right? If I've been already chosen for online, then I have to stick with online from the priority wise.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Hey Nick, this is Anil. When you say residential program, is it 7 days a week? Can student come out during weekends?
It's still just 5 days a week in class. That we don't have any classes or any required academic programs on the weekends. The weekends are when students might be doing some of their extracurriculars, some of the you might be working on one of the service clubs. They might go out and do something on a Saturday. We have various student activities like pictured here. That's our one of our school dances. This was pre-COVID. So there's things going on like that on the weekends. Students are welcome to go home on the weekends if they want, but most of them stay on campus because there's usually a lot of fun things going on.
And what is the schedule for the online?
Yeah, good question. I'm talk about the online program next.
Sure.
I guess we can go ahead and start.
Correct. Just one comment on the residential is, so when we talk about residential, basically all the kids will be staying in the campus only. However, the classes would be only Monday to Friday unless they have some projects or anything. It's not 7 days working, but they will be living on the campus. So that's where the residential program is there. So yeah, we can, I think, Swati, do you have any question on the residential? If any other questions, you can just hold off, then Nick can go into the online and others.
I would like to know, I would like to know the academic year.
The academic year, it's a traditional academic calendar. So we start in mid-August and we finish at the end of May.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, we can move on to the next program, Nick.
Okay, yeah, so the online program, this is another great option. So this is also a 2-year program where you apply during your sophomore year and you're in the program as a junior and a senior. But instead of leaving your current school and living on our campus, you would continue attending the school where you are, and you would stay at home. But during your junior and senior year, you could take 1 or 2 classes per semester through NTSSM. So this is not all of your classes. It's just 1 or 2 per semester. So just as an example, if you go to Green Hope, you're continuing to be a student at Green Hope all the way through 12th grade, but in 11th and 12th grade, your junior and senior year, you could take 1 class or 2 classes per semester through NTSSM. So it's a way to kind of enhance the learning that you're currently getting at your school, to take some different classes, challenge yourself more. And you have the option, you can do these courses dual enrolled with your current school. So in this example, if you're at Green Hope, it's an NTSSM class, but it could also count as a class at Green Hope, as long as you can arrange that with your school. What some students choose to do, the other option is to do it supplemental. And that means the work you're doing for your NTSSM online class is entirely separate from your current school. You're doing that outside of school on your own time. And each of the classes will have 1 live class session per week. That's the synchronous component. So that's always going to be 1 hour on a weekday evening. So your class might meet Tuesdays at 7 p.m. or Wednesdays at 8 p.m. We always have them in the evening so they don't interfere with your regular school's schedule. So you have that 1 live session where you're able to talk in real time with your teacher and your classmates. Other than that, you're doing work mostly on your own. Like, it's up to you to schedule when you're doing your classwork for this online class. And even though it's online, it's still it can still be very hands-on. We will actually send you stuff in the mail, materials to do projects with, lab kits so you can do labs at home, things like that. So it's not just being on a computer screen. You actually get to do some projects. And in addition to that, most of our online classes offer a weekend experience, where at one point during the semester, you would come to our campus on the weekend and get to do a little more in-person, hands-on class or lab work, get to know your classmates and your teachers a little bit better. And here's some of the examples we have in our online class. Again, an online program. Again, even though we're called the School of Science and Math, we still cover the full range of subjects. So you can take all sorts of different classes in this program. And we do have some research opportunities similar to what I talked about with the residential program that you could do during the summer. So if you wanted to spend part of your summer with us between your junior and senior year, you could do that doing some research. Looks like we have a question here from Vamsi.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Swami, for arranging this one. Hi, Nick. Thank you for your time. I have a question. Actually, we live in New Jersey. This program is only for the residents of North Carolina. No, I mean North Carolina, or even my son who is in New Jersey also can be enrolled for the online program.
You do have to be a resident of North Carolina in order to attend. And so that is by December 1st of your sophomore year. So the year that you're applying, you have to be a resident of North Carolina by then.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Even for the online program?
That's correct, for the online program as well.
Oh, okay, got it. How about on campus?
Yeah, both of those programs. Yeah, all of our programs are for North Carolina residents.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, Vamsi, what happens is all the residential, they have to have, they should be resident of North Carolina, and online also they have to be North Carolina, because in the online, as Nick mentioned, you will be partnering with your base schools, and the local schools all in North Carolina knows about the school. If a kid is selected online, then the guidance counselor will work about the schedule of the kids' school curriculum plus the NCSSM. So that way the kid is not too much overburdened, but he also get the access to the online program. So that is why the school, the government, the agencies, everything is involved in this whole program.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So Sonali, do you have any other question?
While looking at the form, we are a resident of North Carolina. I just wanted to understand. So what proof do we have to give, like just our dates, or do we have to provide any other paperwork?
Yeah, great question. There's a program called RDS, the Residency Determination Service. It's what the UNC system uses. All the public universities in North Carolina, they use that to determine your eligibility for in-state tuition. Like if you have a kid going to college at one of the public universities in North Carolina, we use that to also. This is the first year we're using that system to determine your in-state. So it's done online. They ask you some questions. And depending on your answers, they may have follow-up questions, or they may ask for further documentation.
Okay. But to start with, we just have to provide the dates, nothing else, right?
See, typically, I'll tell you, this is the residential program online link. As Nick mentioned, a lot of those are available through any college application. And once you give all the information, typically they will pull out from IRS or state taxes they can do. And sometimes you have to submit your driver license of NC State or utility bill. So they may be asking some documentation to prove whatever the dates you're saying is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it will be like each person, depending upon the information they ask, they will tell you what documents they have to do. It's all online URL is there. Actually, you can do like a Google search. You will find it is the same link everybody in the North Carolina or even other states also using that to provide whether you are a in-state or not.
Okay. Thank you.
Here's some examples from the online program of just some of the at-home projects. This down here, this is actually the brain of a sheep, and that's for students who take our neuroscience class online. So neuroscience, that's the study of the brain, of course. So if you're studying the brain, it helps to have an actual brain to study. So our neuroscience teacher actually sends these sheep brains to the students in the online class all over North Carolina. And so that's one of the projects you'll do during the semester, is you get to take apart and dissect this brain of a sheep. And I do want to emphasize the community aspect of NCSSM. That's a really big part. You know, it's a lot more than just the classes and the academics. You're getting to know students from all over North Carolina, from the mountains to the beach, everywhere in between, big cities, small towns. So people coming from different places and different backgrounds, but all with some common interests as far as being excited to learn, being excited to take these classes. And so a lot of our alumni will talk about, you know, not just the academics, but, you know, what a great experience it was, you know, getting to know all these other students and, you know, having these lifelong friendships and things like that. So that's a really big part of the experience as well. And even in the online program, you know, even though you're not face to face with your classmates every day, it's still a community. You know, you're getting to know each other through that experience as well. And thank you, Swami, for putting that link to the residency in the chat there. That's yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah, that's right. So I put the link, so please go through it, and that is the link every college in the NC State uses to determine whether you are in state or not.
The last program I'll just talk about briefly, and then we'll talk more about the application process. That's Summer Ventures. And so this is a 4-week-long summer program you could do either between your sophomore and junior year, or between your junior and senior year. And we coordinate this at NTSSM, but we don't host it on our campus. You would actually be at a university campus. So you would spend your 4 weeks either at Appalachian State or UNC Charlotte or UNC Wilmington or East Carolina University. And the emphasis of the program is getting to do research on a topic of your interest. So the program is very hands-on and experiential. It's not sitting in a classroom. There's also a lot of building and creating involved depending on the program you're in. So they've got engineering programs where students have done things like build wind turbines that generate electricity or design prosthetic limbs for amputees. I've seen students do things like exercise science research, where they have people running on treadmills and they're measuring oxygen intake and things like that. There's an archaeological dig site near ECU that students in this program were involved with. It was some old colonial settlement from the 1600s, and there's an archaeological dig site there, and students were able to be a part of that. I've seen them do like water quality studies where they're going out into streams and rivers and collecting samples, then bringing them back to the lab. So they do all sorts of different things in the program, but it's all, it's research oriented. It's very hands-on. And we've had some students in this program that'll even take it a step further, where after their 4 weeks is done, they spend a little more time writing up their research. And we've had some students in this program actually get published in academic journals, which is a pretty cool thing to do while you're a high school student. And this is all free of charge, no cost to attend Summer Ventures either.
So one question, Nick, maybe you want to cover later, but I don't know. I'm just hearing through the grapevine. If you are a student of NCSSM, you are going to get either the direct admission to the UNC schools, or you also will be getting a free UNC. Is that, I know when my son was going on that time, they removed that, so they have to still pay the fee. Nothing is guaranteed, but I am hearing something otherwise. Is that confirmed?
Yes. Yeah. So that's actually, that's brand new. This was just approved about 2 weeks ago. So graduates of NCSSM, just the residential program, unfortunately, it doesn't apply to the online students, but graduates of our residential program will get free tuition at any UNC system school. So that's all the public universities in North Carolina: UNC Chapel Hill, NC State, UNC Charlotte, etc. It's not totally free because it still doesn't cover the cost of room and board.
Only the tuition is free.
But it's free. Yeah, but the tuition is free. So that, that obviously makes the college a lot more affordable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Tuition itself is a good one, and but it is not guarantee admission into UNC. You still have to go through the college application process. Only if you choose to join any of the UNC system, then only your tuition is waived because you are the residential program of NCSSM, right?
Right. But that's another thing that's new is the guaranteed admission. So if you graduate from NCSSM residential program and you have to have a GPA of 3.5 or better, a weighted GPA, then you'll have automatic admission into any of those UNC system schools.
Wow.
Yeah, that's brand new. So they're still working out some of the details of exactly how that's going to work. But that's that's something that is very exciting for our students and takes some of the pressure off of applying to college.
That is fantastic, right? So we missed the boat. Like my son finished a program from school. Of course, he got into UNC, but we missed that boat of getting a guarantee of admission and also a waiver of tuition, which are both will take off the pressure for the kid as well as the parents. So,
Right.
guys, I think all the students and the parents, I hope you're all listening carefully. So it's almost a golden opportunity to get into NCSS SAM. So you have to do your best to get into it, and then once you get in, and we are to maintain, of course, the GPA and other things which they are formalizing. But you don't need to worry about your college, because almost college is taken care if you qualify for that. And parents, you don't need to worry about your fee or the savings. So you all can donate to VTSeva. That it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
Thanks, Nick.
option. Check this for me. What about SAT? Is that waived too? You know, if say a kid attends a residential program and if they get GPA of 3.5 plus, what about SAT? Are they required to take SAT in order to get into any of UNC colleges?
At this time, I don't believe so. So it would, if that, that is one of the details that might still change as we're figuring out exactly what this works, because again, this is brand new. But I don't believe you would need to take the SAT or ACT for that admission.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, this is Aditi. I have a question. I have a son who's in the 9th grade. Is there anything he can do in the summer that is associated to NCSSM?
One thing that we do have available is a summer program. It's called Summer Accelerator, and that's a series of week-long programs that we have each summer, and they're available for students from 5th grade all the way up through 12th grade. And they have different programs that are appropriate for that age group. But that's a fantastic program. They do a combination of in-person and online programs. They did, the summer before last, when everything was virtual with the pandemic. They kept going with the virtual programming, and that was popular enough that even though we were able to come back and do some stuff in person this past summer, we kept some of that virtual programming as well. So they have both options, both in person and virtual, but they've got some great programs as well, and that doesn't come with the whole application process that these other programs do.
Okay. Is there any link that you can share so I can keep it handy and figure out dates, etc.?
Yeah, let me find this link here. But yeah, that's a really great program. It is one of the only programs we have that is not free, so it does come with a cost, but they do some really cool stuff, and they do have some scholarships available.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Nick, this Summer Ventures program open to all, or is it open to those who enroll into residential program or online program?
So the Summer Ventures program is open to any rising junior or rising senior in North Carolina, except for residential students at NCSSM. So you cannot be a residential student at NCSSM and do Summer Ventures. And that's partly because we have a lot of our own summer research opportunities that students can get involved with. So we want to be able to spread those options out to other students.
Got it. It's a separate application process, basically.
It is the same application process. They do have some separate questions on their application, but it's all part of the same application.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk about that application process. Here's just a basic rundown of what's involved. So the only baseline criteria are to be a resident of North Carolina and to be in your second year of high school. which usually means 10th grade or sophomore year. But we're very specific about second year of high school because sometimes we have students that have skipped a grade or they have so many credits that they're classified as an 11th grader, even though it's their second year of high school. So to be very specific, we say your second year of high school. That's when you apply to NTSSM. If you're applying for summer ventures, you could do that your second or third year of high school. But as far as NTSSM, residential or online, it's a 2-year program. And we don't take new students as seniors. So the only time to apply is your 10th grade year, that second year of high school. So that's all you have to be in order to be eligible to apply. We don't have any minimum GPA or any specific criteria like that. But that said, it is still a fairly selective program. We have limited space, and we're bringing in students from all over North Carolina. And so we get a lot of applications from really great students that we don't have space for everybody. That's one of the reasons we're building this second campus, is so we have more space for those students. But it is still a pretty selective process. But I'll go through more of that. And Sonali, did you have a question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, so for this 10th grade script, like my daughter will be applying this year. So for this 10th grade transcript, we have to give till the semester, like the first semester, or both the semester, like the half year transcripts, like till when do you, till what point you need that transcript? Both the quarters of the semi-final year, or how does that work?
So we'll collect transcripts in February. We wait until February because we want to make sure the grades from the fall semester are on the transcript. So we're looking at grades from all of 9th grade and the fall semester of 10th grade. So it's really just 3 semesters. We're not looking at any grades from middle school. And then since we're determining admission before the end of the spring semester, we're not seeing your grades from the spring semester either. So it's really just 9th grade and the fall semester of 10th grade.
Fall semester of 10th grade. And how we will submit it? Like we will ask the counselors to submit it to you, or like we will just take the paper copy of it and submit on, like upload it in your website?
Yeah, there's a few different ways to do it. And we'll, like, when that time comes, we'll send out detailed instructions for everybody that's applied. But there's a way to do it through CFNC, the College Foundation of North Carolina. They're connected to all of the public schools in North Carolina, and they're a way basically to get applications and get transcripts from high schools to colleges, or from regular high schools to the School of Science and Math. So you can do it that way. We also have a portal on our site where you can upload it directly, or sometimes the schools, like the school counselor, will can send it directly to us. That's an option as well.
Okay. Thank you.
So the application itself, that's your main responsibility with this application. That's going to take the most of your time. That's something that you'll be filling out. That's all online. It's through CFNC, the College Foundation of North Carolina. That's due January 18th. So it's open now. If you are a 10th grader right now and you're applying, hopefully you've gotten started. If not, that's okay. You still have time. It's not due until January 18th. But because it will take you some time, you have to write some essays. Please don't leave it to the last minute. You don't want to wait until January 17th to start this application that's due on January 18th. I like to encourage people to, if you can finish it over the winter break later this month, that's fantastic, because then you don't have it, you don't have to stress about it when you go back to school in January. But we do have 3 essay questions on the application. That's an important part of it. We want to hear from you in your own words. So that's a chance for you to tell us what you're interested in and excited about. Tell us some more about your story and why you want to be at NCSSM. That's really helpful, because you can't really tell a whole lot about a person just by looking at their grades and their transcript. We want to hear more about your story and what you're interested in. In addition to looking for strong students who are ready for a challenge, we also want to see that you are interested in STEM. And that could be anything under that umbrella of STEM: science, technology, engineering, math, any subjects within that. One of the essay questions is specifically asking about STEM interests. So if there's some topic that you're excited about, make sure we know that. You can talk about that in those essays. Talk about, what your excitement about that subject, what you've done to learn more about it, and that sort of thing. And we're also looking for students that are going to be mature and responsible enough to, to handle this more independent and advanced learning environment that we have. Whether you're residential or online, it takes a lot of self responsibility to be in these programs. So that's something we're looking for as well. And anything you're doing outside of school is great to see. Like if you're involved at this group here, you're doing service and things like that, demonstrating some leadership. That's fantastic. Put that on your application. If there's clubs or activities you're involved with at school or outside of school, or summer programs you've done, let us know, because we want to see that, not only are you doing a good job in your school, but you're also taking advantage of opportunities outside of your regular classes to enhance your learning. So by January 18th, you'll submit that application, and after that, we'll collect some other pieces. So in late January, we're going to ask you to submit the name and email address of 3 people who are going to do your evaluations. That's going to be your school counselor, your English teacher from either 9th or 10th grade, and any STEM subject teacher. So it could be a science teacher or a math teacher, as long as they taught you in 9th or 10th grade. You give us their name and email address. We send them an evaluation form that they'll fill out, and they can tell us what a wonderful student and what a wonderful person you are. And they'll send that back to us. They have until March 10th to complete it. So if there's a teacher that you don't have until spring semester, that's okay. They've got the first few weeks of the semester to get to know you if you want to use that teacher. Then you'll send us your transcript as well. As I mentioned, we try to make it easy for you by offering a lot of different ways for you to send it to us. And the last piece of the application process, this is only for the residential program. You don't have to worry about this for online or for summer ventures. That is our math test. This is our own NCSSM math test that was developed by our math teachers. We're doing this online now. And you have a 3-week window from mid-February to early March where you'll log in and take this test. It's 40 minutes long. There's 30 questions on it. It primarily covers concepts that you would have seen in Math 1. So it's not super advanced. It's more, more foundational high school math knowledge. And we'll use that math test score as part of the whole application process. But that's only one of many things we're looking at, along with your transcript, your essays, your teacher and counselor evaluations, etc. We're no longer using the SAT or ACT that used to be part of the application process. We're not requiring that anymore, and we're not using it at all. So even if you do send us scores, we're not going to look at them. Okay, question here about your English teacher evaluation. Yeah, that's fine if you have English next semester and you want to use that teacher. They have until March 10th. So, I would just let the teacher know as soon as possible when you start that spring semester in January. Let them know, hey, I'm applying to the School of Science and Math. One of the things we need is an English teacher evaluation. Would you be willing to do this? And we'll send them the form, and let them know they have until March 10th to do it. So if they can wait a few weeks to kind of get to know you a little bit. And we've got a committee that reads all the applications and looks over everything, and then we'll put out those decisions in early April. So at the beginning of April, you'll know, hopefully with luck, you've gotten in. If not, we also have a wait list. So some students end up coming to NCSSM that way. So initially, we only accept as many people as we have space for. But there's always a few people who decide, they change their mind, they don't want to come. And so we have additional students that are on a wait list that we might bring in if space is available. And another thing I'll mention about the application process is the way we do it geographically. So this map here is all of the congressional districts in North Carolina. So this determines who represents you in the House of Representatives up in Washington. But the way we do it is this is who you're being essentially compared to in the application process. So if you live in the Cary Apex area, you're probably in District 2. That does tend to be our most competitive area because we do get a whole lot of applications from there. So I don't want to worry you with that, but just do your best. Put your best foot forward with the application. We do get a little bit of flexibility, so we don't have to have exactly equal numbers from each of the 13 districts. They give us a little bit of plus or minus wiggle room, and so because we get so many applications from this area, it tends to be one of our largest. So when we get, if the maximum is going to be closer to 50, we'll probably have closer to 50 from this district in a typical year. And just so you know, if you're paying attention to local news in North Carolina, we did have new congressional district maps that just came out a couple of weeks ago. We're not using those. We're still using the existing maps with the 13 districts. Next year, we'll start using the new maps with 14 districts in North Carolina. Is the admission for acceptance first come, first serve, as you have limited space? It's not first come, first serve in terms of it doesn't matter when you submitted your application. As long as you submitted it by that deadline of January 18th, we're going to look at everybody the same. So there's no advantage of submitting it in October versus submitting it in January. You don't have a better chance by submitting it early. Like everybody, we look at everybody equally as long as you submitted it by that January 18th deadline. But that is a very firm deadline. We won't accept any applications after that. Other questions about anything?
Yeah, so we have gone through all the application process. So I think, Nick, a lot of the kids and parents have one thing. What is the average profile of a kid? What would be expected GPA, whether it has to be 2 or 3? I know, again, everything is very competitive, but what is the average Joe look like in the last years?
Yeah, good question. So we don't look at the numerical GPA. We're looking at your transcript as a whole, the classes that are on there and the grades. Most students have all A's in their classes in 9th and 10th grade. Most of them are taking advanced classes, and that means something different at every school. In most schools, that means taking honors classes. Some schools offer APs to 9th and 10th graders. And if that's the case, they might be taking AP classes. Most students are going to be involved with something outside of school. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be involved with 100 different clubs and activities and things like that. Don't overwhelm yourself with things like that. But if there's a couple of things that that you're involved with, there's maybe your school has a science Olympiad team, or maybe a robotics team. If you're involved with something like that, that's great. Those are just examples. Don't say, oh, Nick said I have to go sign up for Science Olympiad. It could be a lot of different things. These are just examples. But anything
Nick,
you're doing, yeah.
Typically, you only compare, just give an example. If I am studying in a Green Hope, and if it has an honors program or a enriched honors program, if the kid is taking within the Green Hope, then that would be compared only with that school. So what is the rigor of the program the school is offering, and what you are taking is the only comparison, not the kid versus some other school, correct?
Right. We look at everybody in the context of the school where they currently are. So, we know if you're at Green Hope, we know what's offered at Green Hope. So we can look at your transcript and say, okay, this student is taking advantage of the advanced classes there, or this student is not. And that's something the counselor evaluation helps with too. Even if you don't know your counselor very well, because I know a lot of times, especially at large schools, you don't really get to know your counselor. But the counselor sees the classes you're taking. The counselor knows what's offered. The counselor knows what's average for a 10th grader, and knows what's way above average for a 10th grader, and they can speak to that as well.
And you're saying the GPA average, what you see is like 3.0 GPA, 3.5. How much is the GPA you typically see in the 9th and 10th grade for the person to be part of the NCSS system? I know it is not a criteria, but we are just saying what you have seen the last year's selection or something like that, just a guidance.
Most students have all A's. That's not to say you have to have all A's to get in. Sometimes students, they might have a couple of B's, but they're shining in other areas as well. They're writing really strong essays. But most of the students, especially in Wake County where it's most competitive, have all A's or almost all A's on their transcript.
Okay. So parents, kids, any other questions?
Yes. This is Aditi. I have another question.
Sure.
Do you have any sports in NCSSM?
We do. Yeah, we have a great sports program. We have basically all of the sports you would find at any high school in Wake County, except we do not have football. We do not have lacrosse. We do not have field hockey.
Okay. And if a child has played school sports in 9th and 10th grade, would that add weightage to the application?
That can help just in terms of showing that you're involved with the community, that you're doing things outside of school. That's great. I mean, it doesn't have to be sports. For some students that's sports. For some students that could be music or theater, or different things like that. But that's great to see as something that you're involved with. We're not, it's not like some colleges where, if you're a great athlete, that's gonna help you get in. If you're, because we're not gonna necessarily know the difference if you're a star tennis player versus, a beginning tennis player. If you're showing that that's something you're doing, that's something you're involved with, that's great.
Perfect. Thank you. But you all do have teams, and teams go to play matches in other
Yes.
schools. All of that.
Yeah,
Perfect.
exactly.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, they have a powerful tennis teams, and I remember my kids participating, so that is good. And also, I would say, I think Nick, you would agree, right? It is an undefeated football team you have, right?
That's right. Yeah, we used to make T-shirts that said that NCSSM football undefeated since 1980.
The only reason why we say all the kids and the parents is they don't have a football team. That's why we say NCSM is the unicorn and undefeated football team, because there is no football team there.
Okay, got it. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, but other sports are very competitive, and I see all the NCSSM kids as a parent, alumni, I can say they're always selected. I don't know whether the Conrad program is still there or not, Nick, but typically NASA selects people from all over the world, first 100, and usually 10% of the people, high schoolers, are from NCSSM. So there are always very challenging, and I mean, it's a completely a different experience one has to go through, and you have unlimited opportunities. I know some of the schedules, so even my son had 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. because it's not that they want to put you all, but they want to do, like, you have something like archery, you have something like a rocketry. I mean, whatever you want, even your wildest imagination, that is available there. And beauty is, if it is not available, I know the professors are so passionate. They do a lot of those work. They encourage a lot of the kids. My son and their friends used to do a lot of 3D modeling. They did a lot of work. And recently, last month, November, I was invited for a NC Tech conference for all the CXO leaders in the community, and there were award ceremony, and this year Educator of the Year award went to NCSSM professor. So I mean, there is only, I did not even have anything to say negative about it, other than other than you just need to enjoy. The parents may probably feel bad because your kids, once they get into the school, they never want to come home, because there are so many great things. They have so many good people around, and the networking opportunities and the universities. Even you see, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, even our governor, Roy Cooper, is NCSSM alumni. And you look up any great stalwart from NC State, I'm sure 9 out of 10 would be NCSSM alumni.
Our governor is not that, he's not a alumni. He's definitely a supporter of our school, but he didn't attend
He's
here.
not an alumni? Okay. Yeah, someone
but
in the Congress I saw, but that's why I was not sure. But yeah, that's true.
but we do have, yeah, I mean, we have alumni doing great things in all sorts of things. I mean, not even just, technology, and I mean, we have a Grammy Award winning musician among our alumni.
True.
If you've ever seen the TV show Bob's Burgers, one of the writers of that show is an NCSSM alumni, and he won an Emmy Award for that. So all sorts of different careers. We've got graduates doing great things.
So I think there are a couple of questions on the chat.
Yeah. So the number of spaces, yeah. So we have, each year we'll have about 340 in Durham, about 150 in Morganton, and then another 220, 30 or so in the online program. So we're looking at, in an average year, a little over 700 total spots across all three programs that we have available. And yes, so you can specify your preference. So if you apply to more than one, you'll have to rank your preference: first choice, second choice, third choice. And if you don't get into your first choice, we'll see if we can fit you into your second choice. Average workload in classes. Most students find that it's more work and more challenging than the high school they were coming from. So you're definitely going to have to, to spend some time working pretty hard. It is a challenging environment. It is also very supportive. The teachers here, they want to see you succeed. A lot of them will be available in the evenings. They'll have tutorial sessions or times where you can come by, like if you're having a tough time in a class. They're there to help you. But it does force you to manage your time well. That's a skill a lot of students learn, especially in their first year at our school, because there's so many things to get involved with, whether that's, different clubs or sports or, activities, and you have a lot of work to do in your classes. it's, it can be very overwhelming, but students often learn quickly, I guess some more quickly than others, how to manage your time well and get all the things done that you want to get involved with, and hopefully still get some sleep as well.
Yep. So what I would just as experience, I would say a lot of the people who I've seen, it is definitely challenging initially, but you will get adjusted. The beauty is after the 2 years, when they go into the college, they feel college is nothing because they are so much used to the rigor, and the rigor what they experience in the college is very minimal. So you're fully prepared compared to your average school. The school is more than prepared for you into the college. So definitely you need to work hard, a lot of things you need to do, but you will be working with your other cohorts. So there is absolutely people understand, and there is a process. You can always work with the professors and the teachers. So there are so many other opportunities are there for you to get into the streamline to adjust to yourself to the workload. Okay, very good. So I think any other final comments, Nick, you want to share?
I'll answer quickly this question about the credits in the online program. If you choose to do it dual enrolled, we can work with your current school to, because all of our online classes are coded to fit with the North Carolina public school courses and transcripts. So it can go on your transcript. Depending on the classes you can take, they can help you towards your graduation requirements at your current school. But yeah, we're set up to have those courses count as credit at your current school, if you choose to do it that way.
Okay, so if there are no further questions, we will be concluding this session. And any final thoughts or comments you want to share, Nick, and we can wrap up.
Yeah, I would just say if you do have more questions, again, here's my email address. Feel free to reach out if you have more questions. There's a lot more available on our website if you want to watch, virtual tour of our campus, things like that. If you're on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you can give us a follow there. That's a great way to stay updated as well. But thank you everybody for being here and listening and asking questions. And thank you, Swami, for arranging this and having it set up.
Excellent. So thank you all again. I appreciate it. So if you guys need any more information, you all are part of my WhatsApp group on the college guidance, so you can reach out to me. And you also have direct information about Nick's email here. So you can, anything on NCSSM, feel free to send it out. So they're all good. But thank you so much, Nick, for joining on a Sunday. I know we are all working, but you don't need to. But I made you work, and thank you for accepting and coming here. Appreciate it.
I'm happy to do it.
Thank you so much. And we are hoping to have some beautiful, wonderful kids coming out of this RTP area into NCSSM. So thank you again. And we'll again probably connect with you next year, same time.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.